Today we are going to talk about intervals. An easy way to think about intervals on the bass is think about scales and think about intervals like scales of only two notes, the root and a second note. Why is important that you know and understand intervals on the bass? It is important because you are going to use them to build bigger patterns and to analyze the patterns that you already played. So let's start. I'm going to play the most used intervals. The first interval is the minor second. We are going to pick the note C as the root, but one important thing is that you can choose either note. For example, you can choose D or E. That's another reason why we study the intervals, because it's like a generic study. You study these patterns, and these patterns can be applied to any note. So let's back to C, and the first interval is the minor second. Notice this: when you name an interval, you have a number, in this case is the second, and a word, in this case is minor. The number tells you about the number of notes that form the interval. In this case you have C and D flat, so the second two notes. You count the C, the root, and you count the next note. Minor is referred to the tones and semitones that are between the root and the interval. In this case, we only have a semitone. The next interval is the major second. For example, C and D. You can use this fingering 1 and 3, or either this 2 and 4. The next interval will be the minor third. In this example, I'm going to play C and E flat. Notice that this is a third because you have C, D, and E flat. Three notes. The C, the D that you are not playing, and the E flat. The next interval, we are adding a semitone, so it is also a third, but this time is major. And you can play it here, but it is most played like this, with this fingering. The C here with my second finger, and the E here. The next interval is the perfect 4. In this case, we are going to play it like this, with the same finger. I'm playing the root here, and on the same fret, it is the 4. Then, the next interval is the perfect 5th, like this. In this case, if you check the notes, you have a C and a G. So let's count: C, D, E, F, and G. That's why you have the 5th. And perfect is because the number of tones and semitones. The next interval will be the minor 6. In this case, it is C and A flat. Major 6, C and A, and in this case I'm using my second finger and my first finger here. The next interval is the minor 7th, major 7, and the most important interval perfect 8 because it's the same note but one octave higher. See, you have a C here and also here. Once you have practiced all these intervals, I suggest you to analyze the scales and patterns that you already know. Here we are doing a short example. We are changing the root. We are going to pick the G. And the pattern is a blues pattern. It is a very known pattern which goes like this. Etc. So, the G is the root. First interval goes here. This was the perfect 8. Then we are going here. Notice that it is not necessary to go back to the root every time. It is not like this. Before, when I was showing you the intervals, I went back to the root every time to make it more easy to see. But when you are playing this in reality, you are going to define a root mainly based on what chord are you playing at that moment. For example, when you play a blues, the blues has 4 G7 chords. So in that moment, the root is G. Then it goes to C7. So you are going to move your pattern here. And now your root is going to be C, etc. So let's go back to the example. So we were playing on G, we played the perfect 8, and we have to check this one. This is the minor 7. And finally we have this one, that this one was the perfect 5th.